supporting documentation was provided?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, just summarize what you had reported here and the current status, and then we can hear from the governor. Because if this audit was done last month, we're in January, the question would be, where were the documents in December? Why were they not provided in December and they're now being provided in January? Unless they were being, which word did you use?
I asked we to talk about cooked something cooked.
Unless they were being cooked. Okay, fine. OG?
We are saying on summary, Kenya shillings 3,200,040 shillings incurred on software license renewal revealed that key supporting relevant documents were missing and lack of valid contract agreement to support the expenditure incurred on software license renewal.
There was also a direct procurement authority that was required. Your second last paragraph.
Yes, further, there was no documentary evidence to show that the management reported the direct procurement to the authority within 14 days after the notification of the award of the contract, since the value exceeded 500,000 and there was no approval by the accounting officer for use of direct procurement method, contrary to Regulation 91 of Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Regulations 2010, which provides that an accounting officer shall, within 14 days after the notification of the award of the contract, report any direct procurement of a value exceeding 500,000 to the authority in a format provided by the authority.
So, OAG, since we have the written response here, which is fairly detailed, and the county are pointing us to Appendix 2 with a need assessment report, extract of PPRA report, user points, and license renewal contract agreement. Have you reviewed those documents, and do they satisfy the questions that you had asked at the time of audit?
Yes, I've reviewed them, and they have responded to the issue, because the issue key here was failure to provide documents at the time of the audit.
Governor, why did this matter have to come to the Senate if the records were available at that point in time?
Thank you, Chair. I think I would like to ask the Director of Procurement to give her details on probably why these were not submitted to the auditor at the right time.
And Director, with due respect to time, restrict yourself to that which the governor has asked you to do. Why they were not provided at the time of audit.
Thank you, Chair. I can confirm the documents were provided in good time, but you realize when the queries are raised in the draft report.
So you disagree with the Auditor General?
I can confirm the documents were sent via email to the Auditor General.
What is your definition of good time?
They were sent to the Auditor General.
On?
During the response to draft responses.
Specifically on which date?
I cannot be knowing the date.
We don't deal with terms like in good time. In good time must meet, it must be defined from the timelines in the Constitution and statute. So they could have been sent on 31st of December. That is outside that's a date when they're supposed to be reporting.
Chair.
So I just want us to agree on some basics so that these matters will not recur in future. So you are saying you gave the Auditor General the documents?
Yes, Chair, before the management letter came.
Auditor General, you are being accused of being frivolous and raising issues that have already been answered.
At the time of management letter, the documents have not been provided. A DAR, a draft audit report, was also sent to the client, and the documents were not provided.
Who is saying the truth between the OAG and the county? Governor.
Chair, allow me to request the Chief Officer in charge of Finance. I think he knows more details. Let him present that to this committee.
Chair, let me clarify with your permission that this particular query was introduced at the draft certificate level. And the challenge we are normally given only 3 days, about 2 to 3 days. So I know by the time we are giving to OAG, the documents have already been transmitted from Kisumu to Nairobi for issuance of the final certificate. But later on, we engage the OAG at Kisumu and we reach
Mr. Temba, you have said something extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. That it was introduced at the draft certificate. Because I thought this is a continuum. That nothing will find itself at the end without having gone through that process of samples and queries and management letter, that the OAG cannot just bring a surprise at the end.
I agree. When they were on the ground, that issue was transacted. But in terms of documentation, at the draft level is where now we received the query and we went through our documents to locate these particular documents. We were able to remit to OAG and ultimately, after engagement, we agreed that the issue now is resolved. And that's where we are.
Patrick, can we? It's a very dangerous comment, which, if not managed, could give the impression that the OAG introduces things at the end of the audit process.
Chairman, it's not possible to introduce a new thing, and if that is the case, that query then must be communicated to the entity, and they are given adequate time to respond. If there is any review to an issue that was initially in the audit query, and even then in the management letter, it can only be amended in the way that information is being requested. But you cannot introduce a totally new thing at the point of a draft report. Very rarely does it happen.
Senator Ogwo?
Chairman, even where...
You see, Chair, the chief officer has also gone on record to say that during the audit, the matter was being processed. But then what the lady there, the procurement lady, is saying is that this matter jumped at them towards the tail end of the audit cycle. The Auditor General is saying that this matter was properly before the entity at the start of the audit. So we have 3 positions on the same matter, Chair. Perhaps the governor can tell us what the exact position is, because really you are part of this. You participate in this at the entry level and at the exit level. Is this a matter that was just sprung at your officers midway or towards the end of the audit cycle?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the issue here is that these documents is clear from my 2 officers that they came in late when the auditor already had processed and moved forward. So it's clear that these documents came in late.
Which documents, Chair, came in late? I thought it was the documents from the county government of VIHIGA that we are questioning. So they came in late from where?
The documents being submitted to the Auditor General when they were required. They were not submitted at the right time.
Auditor, you, the OAG, I know Patrick sits with us in Nairobi, so our friend from Kisumu Hub, you are the one who did this audit. Were you the one on the ground?
Yes.
So a lot of things are being said back and forth. Can you give us your professional account?
I have the management letter that was issued, and the issue was raised at the query number 4.7, lack of assets ownership documents on software licenses.
And what's the date? The date on which that particular, the ML was released to the client?
The 13th October.
13th of October. And the draft certificate came, because I think these ones were signed on 8th of December. because we must all